Hello, I'm Miriam Grace Go, Rappler's Managing Editor, and you are watching Newsbreak Chats. Newsbreak Chats comes to you every other week on Thursdays, and it's where we pull in Rappler journalists to talk about how they've put together their in-depth reports, investigations, explainers, and research. Joining me today is Ralph Rivas, one of our business reporters, who we are proud to say was the one who first referred to the rising prices of food items as the quote-unquote omelette crisis. But it seems in our discussions, buong breakfast na ang may crisis, Ralph. How did it come to this? Hi, Ralph.
Nako. Kasi, hindi ako nakapag-breakfast kanina, sadly. Not because
Not because of the prices.
but because of coverage. But anyway, nakaka-alarma to kasi first of all, egg, yun yung cheapest protein dapat eh. Kapag naghihirap ka or kapag if you can't afford other protein sources like fish or meat, poultry, you go to egg. At ngayon, medyo mahal na rin. It's up by over 45% from the previous year. Dati
Sa
mga
presyo, ano yun?
nasa 650 before.
Ngayon
Now,
ay.
umaabot na ng 10 pesos. So imagine, parang 10 pesos
Halos na
for
doble,
one
no?
egg, di ba? Kung may bibilin ka pa sanang iba, edi napunta na dun sa itlog.
Ang onion, paano nag-shoot up yung presyo?
Ang onion is up by over 140% from, let's say, 240 a kilo, maabot na ng 600. So, ayun, let me just, isa-separate natin ito kasi medyo magkahiwalay pero related
Sige.
na issue siya.
Sa sibuyas muna.
Sige, sa sibuyas, first off, 7 times higher than the global average yung presyo dito sa Pilipinas. So it's the most expensive. Naalala ko yung mga nagtitweet na reporter na nag-cover sa Davos. Pinuntahan nila yung mga sibuyas doon, parang it's less than half yung presyo doon. So imagine, so talagang it's a luxury good na kung matuturing
Ginto ang
dito.
onion sa atin.
Ginto ang onion dito. It's not that the farmers cannot, wala tayong onion farmers dito. Meron.
Meron local.
Oo. Pero dahil sa sobrang hilig natin sa onions at dami natin dito sa Pilipinas, ilan na ba tayo? Mga over 100 million Filipinos. Tapos sobrang, lahat yung gisa, lahat ng mga favorite food natin, may sibuyas. So kung ano yung napoproduce nila, kulang ng ranging from 10 to 20%. Ganun ka layo yung agwat yearly. So yung 10 to 20% na yun, kailangang i-angkat mula sa ibang bansa. So kailangan sinasakto yun eh. Kasi yung private sector, the moment that they anticipate na, uy, parang kakapusin tayo, baka masyadong tumaas yung presyo. So kailangan, government should approve the necessary permits for it na.
For importation.
So yun yung nangyari, parang bakit nagkaroon ng harangan dun sa permits, 'di ba? Parang may connivance ba, may cartel, so yun. So before we go forward further sa issue ng cartel,
Yung eggs naman.
yung eggs actually
Locally produced.
sabi ng mga sa Poultry Association, majority if not all of the eggs that we see in the groceries at saka sa sa supermarkets,
palengke,
everywhere.
oo.
Ano yan? Dito yan, locally produced. Pero what happened was, one, yung bird flu. Isang factor yon. Pero another factor for me, I think, is talagang kailangan tutukan, is yung mga dating pork farm, yung mga merong hogs na naapektuhan ng African swine flu. Nag-shift sila doon kasi it's easier to mabilis kita eh. The margins are good. One egg, a few centavos lang yung i-add mo doon, kikita ka na. Pero what happened was, nagkaroon ng oversupply. So hindi naman na-anticipate yun. And then, so of course, they had to sell at a loss. And then yung mga nalugi, hindi na Hindi na umulit. So, yun. Kaya ngayon, nagkakaroon ng
Crisis.
looming crisis.
The farmers group were saying that yung this decision ng Department of Agriculture to import onions came a little too late. What happened there?
It was absolutely very late kasi dapat last year pa the private sector was already asking na kakapusin tayo. Kasi technically hindi naman natin hindi nahaharang basta-basta yung importations kasi we're signatories to certain covenants in the World Trade Organization. Pero yung means natin na para maharang yung importation is what we call sanitary and phytosanitary permits. Ibig sabihin lang nun, may certain standards na parang, dapat ganito ka, I'm not familiar, pero mga kailangan ganito ka kinis, or dapat ito lang yung level of insects or whatever, kailangan walang So, may kailangan, ano ba to? Yung standard, pwedeng taasan yan, pwedeng babaan. Depende sa anong meron sa ibang bansa. So that's a way of barrier for us. So dapat nag-issue sila ng mga permits the moment that the private sector asked for it, but they didn't. So the big question there is bakit?
When they asked for a permit, this was under the Marcos administration already.
Yes.
A former DA Secretary, William Dar, was saying that the pricey onions were the result of poor planning and smuggling. Sa poor planning muna tayo, kasi when you say poor planning, it's a commentary on how President Marcos is running the agency because he's concurrently the Agriculture Secretary. What do we know about how he runs the agency?
Actually, from what I know, he only visited the DA office twice. And
In 7 months? In 6 months? Okay.
supposedly, yun yung bentahe niya, di ba, na, I think it's part of his rehabilitating his image. Kasi the Marcos name talaga ang daming atraso sa
agri-sector.
Sa agri-sector.
Oo.
Di ba? So, him taking on this role could have been a perfect opportunity. Not that I'm encouraging na to the image, di ba? Pero, ayun, that's very telling. And yung first visit pa, yung agriculture reporters, parang in a way, parang nakakulong sila dun sa press office. So, we weren't able to ambush. Hindi alam mo yun, parang...
Nasa separate room ang press con niya or visit niya, you were not allowed to interact with him?
Wala. Walang ganun. Well, I wasn't there, pero yun yung pagkakakwento sa akin. Pero, I mean, it's very telling. Kasi you get to compare when I was covering former Secretary Manny Piñol. Yun, matetext mo. Or aakyatin lang namin, para mag-uusap lang kami, uy, akyatin natin si Sec, ambush tayo. So, yun, yung mga ganun, or si Secretary William Dar, approachable din. Although, I mean, so, syempre, maraming banggaan yan. Minsan nagkakainisan, which is nothing new, but they're there. But in this time, parang Marcos taking on this role, parang nagkaroon pa ng added layer. Kasi kung ano mang ilalabas ng spokesperson, i-approve pa ng Malacanang. From Quezon City to
Pasig.
To Manila. To Manila.
Oo.
Parang, di ba,
the
parang
Pasig
ang dami
River.
pang kailangang Cheche. So, I think that takes away lots of time instead of making it efficient. Although, President Marcos already said na parang kapag siya daw yung nandun, people can't say no. The important people.
Yeah, and the full the full weight of Malacanang is, on the agency, on people to act. But I think it's also achieving the opposite, diba? Kasi instead na maging mabilis yung policy decisions, yun nga, sabi mo, may added layers. And how can you expect a man who's running the affairs of the country actually focus on a single agency,
But again, I think yung the 2022 budget was approved by former President Duterte pa, no? But yung nakita lang natin doon is under President Marcos, yung gusto niya is an almost 40% increase.
Binigay ba ng Kongreso?
I think, yes. It was allocated 184.1 billion. Yun yung that was approved ng House, no, as of I can't recall na kung what was the final figure for this. Pero I mean, you can see na money-wise, siguro by 2023 we'll see that. Pero syempre kailangan meron na tayong ngayon pala.
I'm wondering yung mga agriculture journalists, you said one of the best, parang press course there is. How are they navigating this? Yung covering an agency na ang secretary mo ay yung presidente na hindi ikaw ang main beat. Alam mo yun?
Actually, frustrating kasi for instance, they ask agri-related questions. Gusto nilang itanong yun. Pero since President Marcos is president, napupunta sa Malacanang press corps. So, syempre marami din silang gustong itanong doon. Yung agenda ng Agribit, hindi na sisingit kasi very limited lang din, di ba? So yun, that's one. Two, sa Viber chat group.
Who's managing the Viber chat group with reporters?
Yung usual na that has
PIO.
PIO that has long been there previous ilang admins na yung pinagdaanan.
But
Halimbawa magtatanong kami na parang, uy, anong masasabi on certain issues, blah blah blah. Silence. Tapos biglang a few hours later, may press release na totally unrelated. So parang wala na, wala tayong mapapala dito. So we find other ways to do stories about agriculture. We go to agri-groups. And doon, yung mga colleagues ko sa agri-sector, yung mga nasa print media, they're able to spot stories early on. Like, as I remember reading stories as early as July,
about this
flagging
crisis.
about the eggs. Egg groups were fearing na parang 10 to 15 pesos pa nga. But so far, I haven't seen 15 pesos. No?
Pero
yun lang.
nag-10 ka na, umakyat ka na
Oo.
sa 10.
So, that alone, parang July pa yon. Well, President Marcos was inaugurated
June 30.
30.
Oo.
So, pero kahit pa, I mean, di ba may mga
I
ganun?
mean, I am pretty sure when he assumed office and decided he'd be concurrent DA secretary, may idea siya how big the problem was no nahaharapin niya, and yet hindi na ask. So, and you said you've observed that the pro Marcos propaganda machine has been spinning this crisis. How?
Actually, I'm still working on a story na data, parang big data on it. Pero yung initial observations ko doon is, dina-downplay na it's a global thing. Like,
They're downplaying the crisis here and saying it's a global
yeah,
thing.
parang everybody is experiencing it. For instance, yung sa United States, yung itlog din nila mahal. Pero syempre, it's a different...
Iba ang konteksto
Iba ang
nila.
konteksto.
Oo.
Pero yun, sinisimplify masyado. Parang porket it's all about numbers, medyo kayang i-twist ng ganun. Ano ba? I think India rin may problema rin sa egg. And then that's another
And then former Secretary Dar was talking about smuggling too. And in the recent Senate hearing, they were talking about cartels. How bad is it? Yung hold nila dun sa industriya or maybe even sa agency.
Well, if it was so bad, parang it must be really bad kasi hanggang ngayon, this was, I was reading up stories. It was as early as 2015 that a Department of Justice report cited that garlic cartel also, pardon the pun, cooked up the onion racket. So, yun pa lang parang may mga sariling nagmumukhang cooperatives, pero apparently it's a group that's trying to hoard and hold off supply, cutting off and making artificial demand para medyo ma-delay yung imports. Kasi yung nangyayari dyan, Miss Gigi, kapag nagka-ganon, the local farmers are forced to sell at a great loss.
Like,
Parang masyadong talagang yung mga tao na nasa industry, sa mga cartel na to, talagang walang puso. And
siguro to give our viewers an idea of how badly these cartels hurt our farmers, pag-usapan natin yung isang story ni Lance, another business reporter of Rappler, about the cold storage facility na namomonopolize nila yung paggamit. Can you elaborate?
Yes, kasi it's prone to monopoly because it's quite expensive. So, magkano ba ang capital doon? I think 1 billion or 2 billion. So, yun yung kailangan mong capital to store this goods or any agricultural to produce na parang para hindi siya basta-bastang masira. So, again, it can also be a way for you to hold off supply. And
So pagka-harvest ng farmers ng onion, para hindi agad mabulok, kailangan may storage. But when they go to the storage facility, sasabihin naka-reserve na, they can't
Naka-reserve na,
use it. Kasi ni-reserve na ng traders na wala namang onion.
ay,
So they are forced to sell the onions to this middleman ng mababa. Tapos pag nabili na ni middleman ng mababa, saka ilalagay ni middleman sa storage facilities. Tapos later on pag may demand na ibebenta nila ng mas mahal. So yan, Cynthia Villar during the recent hearing mentioned that it's been the same names of cartel people cropping up over the years. Every time Congress, the Senate would investigate food shortages. So bakit hindi sila nakakulong? I guess the senator should delve into it, no?
And I think parang nung nakikinig ako sa sa recent House hearing, parang there's still this hesitation of the DA to admit na
That there are
cartels. So parang ano ba naman to? Parang kailan lang ba tayo pinanganak? Na mahihiya pa tayong i-admit yung ganito. And I think we should be frank na mga ganito. Parang officials are still parang, yes, medyo namamanipulate yung presyo, naiipit yung supply. Ano bang tawag dun? Diba?
Pag ganun ba, can't the Department of Agriculture initiate, I don't know, investigation? Can they ban certain people from trading? I don't know.
Yes, they have.
May power sila.
May power silang ganun. And they can work with other other agencies. Yes.
O magpatulong sa
customs.
DOJ. Parang hindi rin ako naniniwala that they don't know who are behind these cartels, diba? At nakakaawa yung farmers natin. Binisita nila yung kanilang farm sa Nueva Ecija recently. And then, sa Senate hearing then they were testifying na yung iba nagko-contemplate ng hurting themselves or yung iba totally nakalubog na sa utang. Parang ito yung ginagawa natin sa farmers. So parang tayo ang iniisip lang natin as consumers, yung crisis na ang mahal ng ingredients na gusto natin para sa kanila livelihood and lives talaga nila, no? So, steps moving forward, if President Marcos or at least the Marcos administration really wants to do good tungkol sa agriculture sector, anong pwedeng gawin?
Well, I think for one, kailangan alam natin at philosophical level kung anong paninindigan ni President Marcos on this. Kasi many are saying na we're an import-dependent country. Actually, if we look at the numbers, we have a deficit of 2% of GDP pagdating sa food trade. We have a food trade deficit of 2%. What does that mean? So we just import more than we export. Tapos tumataas yan by 5% if we add fuel. So it tells us na we're very dependent. Actually, we're the most dependent among Asian countries.
Yung level ng dependence natin sa imports, gaano kalayo tayo sa food sufficiency, yung 100%? Kaya ba yun?
Well, I mean, in the previous administration, that has been the, diba? Tapos basically, nung mga patapos na yung Duterte administration, parang we can't. So, hindi po, parang kailangan mag-import ng ano. And ito yung talking to farmer groups, economists, basically they're saying, hindi naman masamang mag-import eh. Kailangan lang, kapag humingi na ng time na mag-import.
Mag-import ka.
Mag-import na. And in fact, Singapore, I think 90% of their food
Are imported?
are imported. So they have their own strategy. The inflation rate is up by 4.1%. Yung sa Singapore last year, Philippines 8.1. So what did they do? Diba? Parang anong ginawa nila para sila yung super import na parang ang dami-dami nangyayari sa mundo.
Tapos mababa yun.
I mean, mataas siya pero not as high
As ours.
as
o, diba?
ours.
Yun nga, mas
Kasi,
mababa kaysa sa atin.
so going that at the philosophical level, yung Singapore parang masyadong free market sila, but at the same time they were able to support they gave everyone $500 kasi they had 1.2 billion in subsidies for inflation. We didn't have that.
We didn't have that. So with what we have, what can the Philippine government do para, hindi lang ilabas tayo sa current na crisis ng shortage at rising prices, but para ma-caution yung future na...
Again, me covering agriculture, ma-expose ka talaga sa iba't ibang philosophies in economics na parang, food sufficiency ba? Kailangan bang maging protectionist tayo na atin lang tong mga pagkain na to, hindi tayo mag-export? Or at the same time, parang we open it up, leave it to the market. So it depends where you're looking at. And I'd like to see President Marcos show where he stands.
That's the first step. Anong direction na gusto ng presidente mo at who happens to also be the agriculture secretary, Thank you, Ralph. We agree with senators that for the country to be able to effectively address the high prices, mismanaged imports, rampant smuggling, and even the lack of cold storage facilities, we have to have a full-time agriculture secretary already. If we may add an agriculture secretary who would be firm against cartel lobby and will have food sufficiency and farmers' welfare as priorities in his or her agriculture development plan. This is Miriam Grace Go. Thank you again for watching Newsbreak Chats. See you again next